There are a lot of WMS vendors on the market. How does a company narrow down the vendors for consideration and then compare offerings to find the best fit for their operation?
As a company, when you're looking for WMS systems, it's a long process. You've got to look at what you're wanting out of your system, what you currently have and what you're using, and what you want it to be able to do in the future. So you have to get a team of people. You have to get your operations people. You have to get your IT people. You have to get your people on the floor that run the units all together to try to look at systems. You have to, sometimes it's a good idea to find a consult firm to try to look and find ways to research and develop however you want to develop that and what you're looking for, and then they can give you some solution. The end game is, what do you want it to do? Do you want it to have scannability? Do you want it to have full functionality? Is you just want a part of it? Do you want a service that's like a cloud-based system? Do you want something that is in-house on your server? Do you want it hosted? Once you look at all those options, then you're able to narrow down more of your specs based on what different markets and what different software they have on the market.
I think probably the number one thing that people need to consider is that this is not a transactional relationship. It is a mutually beneficial relationship in that both organizations have to grow and learn to work with one another. As a result of that, when you're looking at your selection activity, you really need to start looking within the DNA of your organization. Are you going to be an expert in the WMS configuration going forward? Will you adapt the WMS yourself, or will you rely on the vendor to make those dynamic changes going forward in the future? Are you going to have an evolution of requirements? Will you be acquiring new product lines, new acquisitions, additional facilities? All of those elements play a role in terms of the WMS prospects, those potentials that you're going to look at. Another element of that DNA is going to be the overall business requirements that you have. And you're going to want to start looking at organizations that are familiar with the particular verticals that you work in to start with.
I would say that if you are just beginning and don't know really what to look for, a good place often to start is looking at that Gartner Magic Quadrant. But don't put yourself in such a small funnel that you're only looking at those providers, because there may be a lot out there that are up and comers that are new that may be what you need and more satisfactory to what you're actually looking for. You don't really want to go out and start interviewing and looking at a dozen or more WMS providers, because that journey will take forever. I'd suggest if you're looking at any more than 6 as your top 6, and then weed that down to your final vendor of choice, you're probably looking at too many vendors, because you can get lost in the quagmire. There's so much out there to offer. So look inside your company first, look outside for friends that have done this before, and then also look at consulting firms to make sure that you're starting down this journey, because wherever you land, it's typically a 10 to 15 year commitment that you've made to this vendor and this company, because it's a very expensive proposition to install and bring up a brand new WMS.
I think the formal RFP process, while it's tiring, is very important, right? Because you have to have a group, you need to get to enough vendors or providers that can provide you, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And you put together your requirements, you get back what they can do, you read through it. Then you down select to a group of 2 or 3 that you really want to get deeper with. And that's when you get back to that partnership approach, right? Because you get to that, everybody's got the functionality you may require, for the most part. Their prices are probably going to be in the same ballpark, because from a cost perspective, you're not a wild difference as you've narrowed down. So again, who do you work best with? Because an implementation is not easy. The customer's got to be prepared on their side as well. It's not just, hey, I want to do this and toss it across a wall. You have to be able to support it throughout the process and have that subject matter expert. And again, find that team you mesh with, that you're willing to fight through the problems with, you're willing to celebrate with. At the end of the day, the partner's going to be there for you post-implementation.